Greetings. Wanted to talk to you guys about some of the things that I've seen posted lately about jurisdiction, authority, what creates joinder, and I'm here to tell you right now that there's a misconception throughout the community that is ascending of the mind and gaining knowledge. And one of the greatest misconceptions out there is that if you have a driver's license, that you are forever bound and always operating within commerce. And I'm here to tell you that's simply not true. Just because, let's just say hypothetically, I'm a doctor. Just because I'm a doctor hypothetically does not mean that everything I do is underneath that license to practice medicine. Are you guys comprehending what I'm saying? Just because I'm a mechanic doesn't mean when I'm torquing wrenches on my buddy's truck that I'm doing it for financial gain or wherewithal or turning a profit. There's some misconceptions out there that if you have a driver's license, you've lent to their jurisdiction and you're bound by that code and statute and regulations all apply to you. And I'm here to tell you right now, it's not true. It's about your conduct. It's about your standing. It's about you having the knowledge of knowing when you're operating in said commerce and when you're not, and whether or not you know how to distinguish between the two, and whether or not you know how to articulate the difference between the two. All right? I have a driver's license, okay? There are times when commercially I operate by using it, when hauling said passengers or goods for some type of gain, and I utilize that. Just because I have a pilot's license, which again, hypothetically, I have a pilot's license. Let's just say hypothetically I have one. Does that mean that when I'm going down the highways, byways, freeways, and passages that I'm a pilot and that I'm operating as a pilot? No. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't mean that at all. So the misconceptions out there that are running rampant about if you have certain documentation, you've lent to the jurisdiction, and you're subject to that jurisdiction only when operating in that capacity, ladies and gentlemen. Now, for example, let me show you something. When going down the highways, byways, freeways, and passages, you happen to meet Johnny Law, and they decide to turn on their emergency lights, and they stop you, right? Or you voluntarily pull over, right? The first thing they're going to come up and ask you is for your license, registration, and proof of insurance. Most often, they don't even articulate anymore why they engaged in the traffic stop. And if they do, they always ask you a question, right? They don't make a statement. They say, you know why I pulled you over? Why are they doing that? Because they're getting you to make a statement. The second you make a statement, you're screwed. You've got the onus of probandia proving, right? And most often people go, I was speeding, I was this, I was that. And this is how they're trained. They're trained to ask certain questions that benefit the prosecuting attorney for bringing a claim against you that will stick, because they're creating securities in your good name. And if they drop the ball and the case gets dismissed, the prosecutor's got to pay for it out of the public coffer or their own damn pockets. Whichever one it is, I really can't identify at this point. I'm guessing it's out of their own damn pocket, all right? Because I've seen a couple prosecutors get pretty pissy when you end up taking that ball and throwing it back in their court after judgment's been rendered, and you want to know what species they'd like, because you just want to remain in honor and good faith with good character and good conscience and do the right thing if you have a said obligation, right? And so what's interesting about this, excuse me, it's not the COVID. It's a smoker's cough, all right? Told you all I don't plan on living long. I smoke. So what's interesting about all this is the concept that, oh, well, I've got a driver's license, so I'm always driving. Bullshit. Bullshit. The doctor's got a doctor's license. It doesn't mean he's always being a doctor. Pilot's got a pilot's license. It doesn't mean he's always being a pilot. All right? Yes, are those licenses for commercial purposes? They certainly are. And when you read into what a license actually is, they're licensing you to do something that would otherwise be illegal. Interesting concept. You start breaking it down and realize, well, what would they possibly be licensing me for that would otherwise be illegal? For example, speeding. It's illegal. But you got a license and you can do it. And so long as you pay the extortion fee for speeding, hell, it's no sweat off their sack. Speed all day long. They don't give a shit. All right? It's not for your safety that they're pulling you over. That cop could give two shits about you. That cop gave a shit about you. Instead of robbing you of your hard sweat equity and earnings, he'd offer you a ride home if you were inebriated and hadn't hurt anybody yet. If he gave a shit about you in your life, and like he so, professionally alleges and claims to care about everybody. I'm saving somebody's life tonight by taking you to jail, by the way. Never mind the fact that I'm going to destroy your life for your ignorant decisions, right? But there is no victim, so now you become the victim. Even though your actions are inconceivable to most people's standards, just because you feel a certain way about it doesn't mean that it's against the law. It's food for thought. So, being pulled over, license, registration, proof of insurance. Do you realize by voluntarily handing that to them that you're now lending to the jurisdiction? Fourth Amendment's very clear. You have the right to be secure in your persons, paper, houses, and effects. Fifth Amendment is extraordinarily clear. You have an unalienable right that is protected by the Fifth Amendment to not incriminate yourself, period. So, license, registration, proof of insurance, I may choose to pull those things up. I may also choose to set them on the dash. If he takes them, is that unlawful theft? Taking of property absent a warrant? Maybe. Could you prove it? You see, ladies and gentlemen, it's just a matter of using your head. When you give it to them out the window, you volunteer. But if license, registration, proof of insurance, and I go, yep, I'm going to set them right here on the steering wheel here. If you can take them, go ahead. If you feel that you can reach in this private household consumer good and take that property right there, go for it. I'm not going to resist. I'm not going to fight you. But if you think you can reach into this automobile and grab that documentation free from any encumbrances or commercial liability, go ahead. Watch how quickly they're going to get pissed off because they're told, don't you dare reach in that car and grab that shit. You make them hand it to you. They need to hand it to you. They need to volunteer it to you. You're volunteering to your own demise. You ever thought about that? Taking the papers out? Nowhere in the law does it say you actually have to hand them anything. It doesn't say that you have to hand a damn thing to them. Nothing. Take it out, set it on the dash. Can you hand that to me? Sure can't. But you can see it, can't you? Well, I need to see it. Well, you see with your eyes, not with your hands. That's what my dad used to tell me. My pops used to tell me this. I go, oh man, that's cool. Let me see that. He goes, what's wrong with you? Well, nothing. Well, you see with your eyes, not with your hands. I guess I never thought about that, did I? You can see it's on the dash. If you think you have the lawful authority and the legal right to take that documentation off the dash, go ahead. Actually, I'm not even going to say go ahead because that's granting permission to do something, right? If you think you can do it, you do what you think you can do. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm going to leave it right there. Man, you do a damn thing about it. But if you want my license, registration, proof of insurance, a quid pro quo's in order. I want your license, your registration, your proof of insurance. I want to know who your bonding agent is. I want to know where your bond is warehoused at. I want to have your oath of office in my hand, your delegation of authority to operate outside of Washington, D.C. I want to know who colored you with authority, when they colored you with authority, and how they got it. Who are they to color you, and how did they get their authority to color you with authority in the first place? Real simple shit, guys. And I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Oh my God, you know, they're beating people, they're tasing people, they're kicking the shit out of people. Well, that is the risk you play. A lot of people would say, Derrick, play a stupid game, win a stupid prize. I say this, freedom isn't free, and I'd rather stand and then live on my knees any day of the week. Die on my feet rather than live on my knees. It'll never happen. But it's about being mindful of what your actions are. So actions can create a trust, right? If I act a certain way and I imply through my actions that I'm engaging in some type of contract, for example, buying a house, and I put credits on account in an escrow, well, now that's created a contract through my actions, right? It's shown intent that can be proven. Irrespective of whether the contract was signed, my actions created a trust and created a trust relations due to my actions of placing the currency in the escrow, right? So it's just always good to be cognizant and mindful of what we're doing, how we're doing it, where we're doing it, when we're doing it, and whom we're doing it with. So again, just because you have a driver's license doesn't mean you're under the imperial jurisdiction of these quasi-legal proceedings. It couldn't be further from the frickin' truth. That's not going to fly with the brothers there. I don't care who it flies with. I walk on water. Real simply. It's real simple, guys. It's a mindset. That's all it is. Somebody states something, well, the onus of probandi is on you. Conclusion of law, finding of facts and conclusion of law. If you're going to run your mouth, you got to show it to me. I show it to people day in and day out through my actions, through my interactions with other people, dealing with agents and agency. I walk the walk and I talk the talk. And I'm just trying to help you guys open your mind because we need more people who can do it. It's not enough to just have 1, 2, 3, 4 of us out there doing it. We need everybody to start practicing it, okay? Practice exercising and stretching your damn legs and learning that you can dip your toe in the water and you can walk on it. It's real simple. I once had a U.S. Marine lean out his daughter's bedroom window screaming, "It's better to have brass balls, Derrick, than no balls at all." That saying will forever be in my mind. Forever and ever and ever. I was a little tyke. I think I was like 14 years old. Better to have brass balls than no balls at all. Basically what he was saying, it was better to deal with the consequences of your actions like a man than to run out the back window like you have no balls. It's a metaphorical thing, I do believe. The other thing they taught me was, Derrick, the elements of a fight. 10% of the fight is actually physical. 90% of it is mental. So if 90% of it is mental and only 10% of it is physical, what are you so afraid of? Get in the fight. Get in the game. All right? Let's see. If anybody touches you, absent a warrant, absent a crime, and I'm talking about a true warrant, that is battery and assault, and I don't give a shit who it is. The President of the United States running around with a title, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Nobody has a right to touch another man or woman absent their consent. I don't give a shit what the scenario is. Absent a victim, absent an injury, absent absolutely trying to prevent or stop a crime from occurring or an accident from occurring. Aside from those very logical points, no one and I care not what costume you wear, what badge you have on, has a right to touch another man. Understand this. Each and every last one of you has the right to defend yourself with vigor till the bitter end against an unlawful and an illegal encroachment upon your personal space. Period. I once told a judge this. I had a cell phone in the courtroom. I was recording the proceedings. It was pertaining to I, as a man, being in the courtroom in my estate, the Derrick Gonzalez estate, right? Because we know what's going on in there. The judge said, no cell phones in here. And I said, well, that's tough shit. You're going to have to issue an order. You issue the order and put it in writing and sign your name to it, and I'll put down this phone. And he looks at the bailiffs, and he looks at the sheriff. Boys, take that phone, would you? Now, that wasn't an order. He was asking them if they would assume the liability of physically accosting me against my will, absent jurisdiction, absent actual authority, dissolving all liability on his end because the gun-toting morons with an IQ of less than 70, the meatheads that work for him, were more than happy to do as he had asked. Remember, he just asked if they would do that. He didn't order them to do that. There was no signed paper and documentation. He simply asked them if they would do that. And they were ignorant enough to put their hands on me. All right? Now, this ensued in the middle of a court case. There had to have been 30, 40 people in the courtroom that day. It was a wrestling show. One guy had one arm, one guy had the other. But when Derrick Gonzalez doesn't want to let go of something, he ain't letting go of it. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care how tough you are. If I don't want to let go of something, I ain't letting go of it. All right? I used to climb towers. You don't have very big forearms, but I'll tell you what, you get 100 foot in the air and somebody could drop a 20-pound sledgehammer on your hand, you ain't letting go because it's life or death. So I made a decision. I'm not going to let go of this phone. We're gonna wrestle here in the middle of the courtroom like a bunch of camel jockeys, all right? And then the sheriff decides he's going to try and break the phone. So I finally let it go. But it's my next statement. It's my next statement of fact that made the judge go like this. I said, why would you put these two men's lives in harm's way over a phone? There's only two types of people in this world that don't want to be recorded. A porn star after a long, hot, sweaty day of work, and a criminal. Which one are you? You see, the reason they don't want cameras into that courtroom is because it's not a courtroom of justice. It's a synagogue of thieves and liars and looters and stealers. That's what it is. And every now and again, they give the illusion of justice by actually having a real criminal within their synagogue. To find an innocent man guilty. There was a judge that once said this. I would rather send 100 guilty men home to their wives than find one innocent man guilty. Because finding one innocent man guilty would be such a travesty on justice that it would be better to let 100 guilty men go than to convict one innocent man. Boy, have the times changed. We find innocent men being locked up for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 fucking years over plants, ladies and gentlemen. While the pedophiles and the child molesters get 6 weeks probation, 6 months probation. Look, Epstein's black book still hasn't been published to the fucking world, and there's no excuse for that, except for they're all in it together at the highest fucking levels. What's going on in Ohio? The update on Ohio today. I'm working with a young lady who's actually becoming educated on ascertaining records, public records, public FOIA requests, things of that nature, and public records requests. And she is doing a phenomenal job. So much so that she's decided to go ahead and investigate this matter for herself by turning around and actually making calls. And there's a number of women that are actually helping me right now that are amazing. They're doing phenomenal work. We're constantly corresponding with one another at least once a day, if not more. And they're nailing it out of the park, ladies and gentlemen. This gal had a conversation, and this is hearsay coming from me. I got it from her with firsthand knowledge, okay? When it's coming from me, because I didn't talk to the chief of police today. She spoke to the chief of police today. So from what I'm telling you, it's just hearsay. But he admitted to not having a warrant for Derrick Chaton Gonzalez. He admitted that his officer did not and was not compliant with the Foreign Registration Act of 1938 and does not have a valid certificate. He admitted that they did illegally and unlawfully arrest me and detain me against my will and restrict my liberty and freedom to move. Okay? The chief admitted this today. Okay? It's a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. We're not done yet. We've still got more work to do because there are 2 cities involved in Ohio. And unfortunately, I had to step away from that scenario real quick and go get armed with some better knowledge on the situation at hand and how I'm going to handle that. So there's more coming. As I stated, I'm not leaving until this issue is resolved and certain people are either fired or forced to go through an educational training course to better the environment in that community, to make sure that the public servants are absolutely doing their job, and that if they continue with the conduct that they're exhibiting, that there will be no excuse in the future for why they shouldn't be fired on the spot. So one of the things is a lot of people want to talk about just compensation. Oh yeah, I get compensated for this. You know, the best compensation you could ever get is leaving a community better than you found it. Making sure that the public servants, one of the requirements that you require is that if they're not going to be reprimanded and disciplined and possibly fired, that they're at least forced to go through 180 hours of educational courses to ensure they're competent and doing their jobs, and that nobody else will be injured for their dereliction of duty, their inadequate training, and their incompetent ways. All right? When I stay at somebody's house, I do the dishes, not because I have to and not because I'm asked to, but because I want to leave the place better than I found it. I think everybody's parents raised them that way for the most part. My mom could never get me to do a damn dish in the house, but if I went and stayed at little Johnny's house, little Johnny's mom would be calling my mom going, Lisa, you've got the nicest, well-mannered, best son I've ever seen in my life. He's done my dishes. He's vacuumed my floor. He cleaned my fan. And my mom's going, what? You talking about my kid? Are you serious? You tell him to come on home. He's got chores to do. I'm like, I don't know what you talk about. I have no idea what she's saying, Ma. I didn't do any of that shit. We're supposed to be leaving the communities better than we found them. Better than we found them. And they're in tatters right now. 3,100 counties plus in the United States of America alone. 3,100 counties. And there is a lot of cleaning to do. A lot. A lot of sinister, bad actors that need to be removed, gone, fired, terminated. Most of them should have to return all the income they ever made through the years of not being competent at their task at hand. Okay? Thank you for all your guys' support. We got Self-Governance U up and running again. What else? I've worked on some donation pages, some Cash Apps now, Venmo. I'll work on a donation button on Self-Governance U if you guys wanted to donate that way. Another gentleman took it upon himself to schedule a call with me and said, hey, don't even worry about calling me. I just wanted to help you out in Ohio. I think what you're doing is great. Keep us informed. Keep recording your interactions with these people. I've gotten some complaints about my recording abilities. I want to explain that really quick. Remember when ADT first came out, the home security monitoring system? One of the things that they do after installing their security system is they put really nice placards out in the yard. And that's to let people know that the home is now monitored with a security system and cameras, right? So if I'm in a court setting and I'm advertising that I'm there like this, looking around with a camera at everybody's face, do you think bad actors are going to show themselves for what they really are? Think about it. Use your melons right between your love handles. You got to use what's between the damn head, all right? Between your ears. So, yes, my recording skills are piss poor for a reason. I like being incognito. When I'm there just being polite and asking questions, if I'm holding a camera like this, do you think they're going to show me their true colors? No. Just like a criminal who sees an ADT sign in your fucking yard is more than likely not going to try to enter your house because there's no cars in the driveway. All right? Just logical thought process, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, the camera skills from the hip suck ass. Bear with me. I get it. It's not about it. Close your eyes, don't look at the video footage, and listen to what's being said. That's the important part. What's being told, who's telling it, why they think they have that authority, where they got that authority. So let's talk about Ohio for a second. Let's talk about Pillsbury, Ohio. It's not Pillsbury. What the hell is it? Strawberry? It's not one of them berries. It's a berry of some sort. To be criminally trespassed from property. Anybody familiar with that? Criminal trespass, aside from seeing it on my video? There are a few requirements in order to criminally trespass somebody from property, okay? One, and the most basic and fundamental of it, the owner must come forward and point you out to an agent and agency and say, I no longer want that man right there, that man on my property. At that point, there's an issue of trespass ordered, logged, written down, and the man is informed you are no longer allowed to come back here. They are then advised that if they come back a second time, that it will be criminal trespass, because it will be a criminal act after being put on what? Notice and opportunity that the owner no longer wants them on the property indefinitely. All right? So on the second go around, it's an arrestable offense. It's a criminal trespass. So what they did in Pillsbury, it's not Pillsbury. The hell is it? Anyway, what they did in Ohio by trying to enforce their will upon me at a courthouse was tell me that I was criminally trespassed and could be arrested if I came back. One, they can't kick me out of the building I fucking own. I own it. There ain't an agency in there that says that I don't. There ain't anybody in there that's going to argue with me that I don't own that building. Now, you have to ask yourself, well, how the hell does Derrick own a courthouse? Derrick owns a courthouse because Derrick is part owner of the United States Incorporated. All right? Derrick is the bailor for the bailees. And I don't know if you guys are picking up what I'm laying down, but that's gold. That's the golden brick road that Dorothy was trotting along in her silver slippers. All right? You can't trespass me from my own damn property. I have a right to be on it, more so than foreign agents and agency and actors who don't and who are not compliant with the rules, regulations, city ordinances, codes, rules that have been established for them. Not me, for them. So they are the domestic terrorists in this instance. And they'll be repercussions for it. It's coming. What else did I want to talk about? Any other questions out there? What you guys got going on in the chat? You always the creditor. Absolutely, always the creditor. All right? See, what else can we talk about? Yes, the insurance gentleman from Ohio at Highland, Something along those lines. Hylant. Hylant. He was dropping golden nuggets there. And one of the reasons that he couldn't just be frank with me is because in his line of work, he has trade secrets. And he can be fired and terminated and possibly sued for exposing trade secrets. This really exists in the commercial world, ladies and gentlemen. They're called trade secrets. And I know some of those trade secrets, and I've been exposed to some of those trade secrets for various different reasons. And most often from professionals, not that they were disgruntled, but they were impressed with how much I actually knew, and I promised them that I wasn't recording them, and I took and put my phone out in the car, and I came back in and sat down and had a conversation with them. They absolutely have what are called trade secrets. And one of the things that the gentleman from the insurance company was trying to help me along, and he wasn't trying to be deceptive, ladies and gentlemen. He was actually being good-hearted. You could see it in his eyes. I know you guys couldn't see it because of the way the camera was sitting. He's like, I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to give you the runaround. Basically what he's saying is I'm limited in what I can actually tell you. What you need to do is go to the city council and find out where their liability is held. If they're a big enough corporation, if they're a big enough entity, then it's plausible that they insure themselves. What does he mean by that? How do they have the capacity to insure themselves? Well, if they have enough assets, ladies and gentlemen, as that man had so brilliantly articulated, you don't have to have insurance to operate an automobile on the freeways, highways, and byways. You could be bonded. You could have enough financial wherewithal in a bank account. You don't have to have insurance. You don't have to. They're asking for financial responsibility. They're asking either you have the knowledge to create a negotiable instrument, if need be, or do you have enough in a bank account, or do you have insurance? That's what they're asking for. Most cops, I've never heard a cop say, do you have a bond, license, registration, proof of insurance, or a bond, or, what's your bank account look like? You got enough in your bank account to cover any incidentals? Never heard that one before, have you? Well, I've heard it a number of times prior to talking to that gentleman at the Hylant Insurance Company. So I completely comprehended what he was speaking of. And that's when I went to talking about promissory notes, international bills of exchange, regular bills of exchange. I know how to create them all. And he dropped a nice golden nugget at the end, if you were paying attention, on how to back them up. You have to find a brokerage. You have to find an insurance company, because at the end of the day, everything is insurance. Everything is run through brokerages. Everything is a security that sets in an escrow somewhere and matures. You just have to find somebody that's going to medallion stamp the son of a bitch and throw it in the system for you. But there's another way that I know absolutely works if you understand the difference between recording something and registering it. You register a security or you record a security. So, is there any other questions while I'm on here? I'm going to get some sleep. It's been a long day. I've been in Chicago. I've been to Indiana. I've been in Ohio today. So, any other questions before I go and rest my weary head? Tomorrow's going to be a long day. We're going to have some more fun with public officials. Again, my intent is not ill will. I don't have ill will. I don't have bad intent. I'm not looking to cause anybody any physical harm or mental anguish or stress. Just here making sure that their basis and their operation is running smooth and efficiently, ethically, and by the law. That's it. I'm not looking to provoke them into breaking the law. They do a good enough job on their own doing that by being ignorant of the law. This has been a declared here in New Zealand. What do you got? Nice. I can't click on the website, Wana Unity, but I will look at that after this video is concluded. Any other questions? It's rare that I do questions on here, but record, okay. Record. Recording is different than registering. When you're registering something, you're gifting it to the one that you're registering it with. All right? It's a Class 5 gift and estate. When you're recording something, you're just giving public notice of what you hold as an asset. All right? So registering is gifting. Recording is proof of your asset. Giving public notice of your asset. All right? The king. Post office register it and use the bank to medallion the security. I have heard of that. I have not seen it executed yet. We have tried multiple times. We've done a couple cool things with the post office, the USPS in particular, where we take registered mail with a 3806 and a carbon copy. And on the carbon copy, we flip it over. We put an international stamp on the back of it. And we write what the document is, and we actually record our transaction with the United States Post Office, because they take the carbon copy and they scan it in, both sides, top and bottom, at the post office, which creates your record, your private record. And then you can subpoena the U.S. Post Office to come forward with your private record. Remember, your private record always trumps the public record. Anybody in here know why your private record would trump the public record? I'll tell you why. The reason that your private record trumps the public record is you can testify with firsthand knowledge. There ain't an agent and agency out there in the world that can testify with firsthand knowledge. Ain't happening. Ain't happening. You're the only one that can affirm your record, and your record is the highest record. Let's talk about statutory pleadings versus non-statutory pleadings. A non-statutory pleading supersedes a statutory pleading. So that's why I'm telling you, quit chasing your tail in the living room floor like a damn dog chasing them statutes. Because them statutes ain't shit if you come across a guy like me. Come across a guy like me that knows how to articulate a non-statutory writ, I'm gonna spank you, okay? Because my non-statutory pleading is higher than your statutory pleading, all right? Because most often statutes and statutory pleadings are ambiguous. He did this or he did that. He did this or he did that. Well, which is it, Frank? I did this or I did that. Which is it? Be specific here. I mean, I'm only looking at 10 years. The least you could do is tell me whether I lifted my left foot or my right foot, for fuck's sake. Right? Private is a real person. Private be a man. Man or woman. That's private. And then, obviously, when I was told that I couldn't be in the courthouse the other day. All right? Now, let me show you something. Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution is so brilliantly freaking clear. I, as a man, have a right to contract at will, absent government intrusion and interference. Now, when I was being kicked out of the courthouse the other day, I had a bunch of agents and agency conspiring against my unalienable rights, and if we wanted to use titles, we'd go with a 1983 lawsuit along with a Title 42, 241, 242, but we're not going into the statutory shit. There were agents and agency there who told me that I had no business there. How did they know that I didn't have a power of attorney to deal with somebody else's estate? How do they know that I didn't have something to file on the miscellaneous land record? How do they know that I didn't have business with the clerk of the court? Everybody else was open for business. Anybody else could walk in there. So is it discrimination? Is it because my ass ain't black enough? Is it because I look to be Latino? Or is it just because they happened to profile me before I got there and they realized that if I made contact with the clerk of the court, the prosecuting attorney, and dear old Mr. Judge, there was no more plausible deniability of not knowing what the fuck's going on. Think about that one for a minute. Irrespective of all the presumptions and assumptions, you can't stop a man from going into a building he fucking owns. I own it. I don't own all of it. I'm not the only beneficiary of that estate, but I am a beneficiary of that estate, and the beneficiaries absolutely are the fucking owners. Get them on discrimination from kicking you out. Yeah. Well, not only that, but the aggravated assault, physically touching me to remove me from there while on camera, yet saying, I'm not touching you. Like, have you lost your ever-living fucking mind, Junior? Yeah, I don't know where the hell you got that badge at a Cracker Jack box, but you've got to be the dumbest son of a bitch I have ever come across in my life. Because if I would have touched him the way he was touching me, I'd have had 6 cops tasing and beating the shit out of my ass, I promise. Promise you. And it don't matter how hard, how nice he was being, he was still touching me against my will without my consent. Alright? So, what else? What other subjects you got there? He was possibly telling the truth, i.e. helping you, when telling you he had no business there. Perhaps, but what if I had a document that I needed to be recorded? Not registered, recorded, that the public should be made aware of. So, yes, in a way, maybe you're correct. It's plausible. But at the end of the day, you still can't tell me I can't be in the damn building. First of all, who's the owner of the building? If you're going to trespass me, you better bring the fucking owner down so he can point at me and go, you, I don't want you here anymore. And then the agency can go, okay. You notice the other thing they were saying? They kept saying this. The court has decided you can't be here anymore. What court? Whose court? When was court held? Who's the fucking court? Which one of you jackwagons has decided you're the judge, jury, and executioner, you little shit stains? Talk to me. It's amazing. It's amazing. I had 2 officers remove me from city council meeting. Yeah, I've been removed from a few of those. Lord, oh Lord, I'll tell you this. If you ask too many pertinent questions, c'est la vie. C'est la vie. Well, is it possible to record on the public record with a newspaper? Sure it is. You can absolutely record on the newspaper. You bet. Humbly, spirit on all sides, sounding contemptuous, controversial, and combating. Thank you for pointing out my fatal flaw there, my buddy Scott. Yep, there are times when I am weary and weak and tired. I'm not always humble, and I'm not always the perfect gentleman. Remember, I'm a sinner. First and foremost, I'm a sinner. I know I am. I'm not perfect. There are times I get a little excited, especially when I see people's liberties and freedoms being stripped from them day in and day out. In multiple counties, multiple states, multiple cities. I travel. I see this stuff on a daily basis, and it's sickening. 30 days limit to respond in by newspaper, aka public paper. Right. That's public notice. What else you guys want to talk about while I'm here for a moment? I had a 1-hour conversation with a guy who said he's paid, I think it was a few $1,000s to people to teach him stuff. And he said, in 1 hour, Derrick, I paid you $100 for 1 hour of your time. And you are so clairvoyant when you speak. You have connected so many dots for me. I'm going to go win my case. And I said, you call me when you finished. It's so simple to beat these guys in court. So simple. So simple. It's so simple, you could teach a kid to do it. You would eat this country here in Little Rock, or this county here in Little Rock. Little Rock's dangerous, buddy. Little Rock's the Clintonville. Clintonville is very dangerous. I've been down to Arkansas a couple times. It's dangerous down there. It's a dangerous place to be when meddling around in the court system. Those guys are well known for taking over airports, peddling Learjets full of cocaine. I mean, it's dangerous in Arkansas. You should have told them to bring in their public accuser forward to trespass you from ever going into the public. Good point. I'm going back there. We're going to see if they're going to arrest me. Who knows? It'll probably be a fiesta. I'm guessing the next time I walk in there, everybody will disappear. It'll look like crickets. There won't be anybody in there. Everybody will shut and lock their door. I've had it happen before. Burwell, Nebraska. I left Valley County or Nebraska courthouse looking for an oath of office and a bond. And the gal told me that she had her oath of office and bond across the hallway. And I went across the hallway, and it was an appointment. It wasn't an oath of office. It was an appointment. I go, this is an appointment. This isn't even an oath of office. Are you lying to me? Well, I work in multiple counties. I go, but you don't have an oath filed here? Well, I said, where's your oath? Let's just quit fucking around here. Where is your oath of office at? You know where it's at. Don't play this stupid game with me, please. I'm not in the mood today. She says, I think it's in Garfield County. You think or you know? Because if I drive all the way to Garfield County and I get there and your shit ain't there, I'm going to be awfully livid. I'm not going to be nice. It's in Garfield County. Okay, call him up and tell him I'm on my way. And I literally left that courthouse. And when I got there, the only son of a gun left in the courthouse was the janitor. And he goes, you must be Derrick. And I go, yeah, where is everybody? He goes, they all left. Oh, what do you mean they all left? They had meetings. All of them? The treasurer's gone. The secretaries are gone. The only one that's left in this building is the damn janitor. He goes, yep, and I was told to give you this piece of paper. Well, how did you get that piece of paper? Well, they gave it to me before they left. Holy shit. So I know what'll happen the next time I walk into old Pillsbury. There won't be nobody there. Nobody that wants to talk. So, any other questions before I call it a night and go to bed? The police did take people home if they were intoxicated were peace officers. Yes, they were, and they were good peace officers back in the day. I can remember a number of stories from my elders who said there was a time when, the cop would fist fight you in the damn street if he was looking for a fight. Yeah, you want to fight? I like fighting. Let's do it. And they'd brawl and have a beer, and cop take them home. And obviously times are different. That's Old West stuff. Pretty cool, though. I mean, when you think about it, lick your wounds together and go home and build a community. And that was back in the day where if the sheriff needed a posse, he had respect from the fellow men in his town because they duked it out a time or two. But when push came to shove and the people in the community needed protected, he knew he could rely on those very same men that he'd had discrepancies with in the past. And he knew that they had balls. He knew that they had fortitude. He knew that they weren't running from shit. They're just food for thought. There was a time when they used to take you home. There was a time when they weren't too busy to change your tire on the side of the road. Nowadays, you see it once in a while, and I think it's more of a gimmick and a show than it is anything else. Not to take anything away from the officer or the man that actually stops and changes the tire on the side of the road while in uniform. I think that's admirable, it's commendable, and it's quite frankly what they should be doing. The 80s, they were good. Yeah, they were cool. These codes are not duly enacted under original organic state constitution. You are correct. You're 100% correct on that. They're operating under a different charter now. To identify, hold on. To identify as a word man, would it be that is worshiping and percentage or bearing false witness identification? Word spells graven image with multiple forked tongues, meaning I. A-Y-E. I suppose you would have to look at the intent for which it's stated and said. I mean, I'm all about etymology, my friend, Scott. I really am. I suspect we would have to put it into context, wouldn't we? We would really have to do our due diligence. But when I read the good scripture, it says he created man. Man. M-A-N. Then again, back in the day, in the Hebrew language, was the letter M even around? I don't know. We'd have to go look at it. Many things are lost through the translation of language, so I agree with you, Scott. It could be wrong, but the intent for what I said, and I can declare it, and I can stand upon it and not move from my square, and And it's worked for me time and time and time again in the court. So I'm not sure. I mean, I once had a judge stand up alongside his chair and go, this court is a constitutional court and will abide by the Constitution. I've never heard anybody that's had an interaction like that. And that was pretty special. It was pretty unique in chambers, through a special door, pretty wild. So to answer your question, I'm not sure that I can. I just know how I speak and what I've learned, and what I've learned through my trials by fire and water and ice, being there in person and as a man and living it with firsthand knowledge. So hope that helps you out. Can you help my friend Jujo out? He went to jail for 3 days. He volunteered to be in jail in Ohio at Walmart for not wearing a mask. And the secretary arrested him. Oh, the security arrested him. Well, first of all, the security at Walmart can't put their hands on nobody. You can whoop the shit out of them for assaulting you. And you would be completely justified and vindicated, although I don't advocate violence. There are times that I have to walk away because boy, would I love to. But, yeah, the security guard has no authority, absent an actual physical crime occurring, to assault anybody. And we all need to recognize that if somebody touches you when you don't want to be touched, you need to fill out an affidavit immediately. You need to tell these people to stop touching you. That's assault. And if they did it while they were wearing a weapon, it's aggravated assault and battery. Okay? So it could be simple battery and assault, no weapons, no nothing on them. They just grabbed you. That's simple battery and assault. Aggravated battery and assault is when they've got a weapon on them. And then there's assault with a weapon when just if they pull a gun and they point it at you, that's assault with a lethal weapon. People go, well, if he didn't beat you with it, no. Just the mere action alone creates the assault. All right. It is illegal to false identify. It is illegal to force one to identify as a human. Could it be? It could be that. Plus hue being color and man. Color of man? When we break down the words. So, interesting. And again, I like it how you put it in questions. And what Scott is exhibiting there is he's mitigating liability by asking it in the form of a question. He's not making a statement, but at the same time, he's kind of making a statement. But it's a question. It's clearly a question. So it's not a statement, but he's planting seeds. So kudos to you, Scott. I think that's brilliant. I like it. Is there a certain affidavit of fact for that? What is that? Too many pronouns. Can't do the pronoun thing. What is that? What does that mean? Subject matter, please. Can you do a video someday on reasonable suspicion and probable cause, brother? You bet. Absolutely. I'll hit you up on that. Reasonable suspicion. That is a fine line. What do you find reasonable? I could put 10 monkeys in a room that might not find the same subject reasonable. You know what I mean? I think it's reasonable to let your kids climb up a 30-foot tree, but how many of you agree with me on that? Probably not many of you. But I used to do it all the time. So for me, I find it completely reasonable that your 11-year-old offspring would like to climb the tree. Doesn't bother me at all. So define reasonable. It's really just a loophole for them to be able to exercise. Reasonable. Do you find it reasonable to have a man out there with an IQ less than 70 walking around with a gun? I don't. But your judiciary sure the hell does. Think about that one. So, reasonable, articulable suspicion. If I see a man breaking a window, there's no more reasonable articulate. It's clear he's breaking into something, right? If I see him walking around a neighborhood at night, where I grew up, it's not uncommon. Nobody thinks it's suspicious. you know? But then again, in Chicago, middle of the night, walking around, could be a whole nother story. I don't know. It's a real gray area, and that's why I don't like that legalese bullshit. In my mind, there's no victim, there's no crime. It's just that fucking simple. No victim, no crime, no issue. If it's the state, and I already have it in my mind that the state means Kris Kringle, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and Peter Pan got together. That's what that means to me. When I hear the state is bringing charges against somebody, I automatically go, shit, the Easter Bunny got together with a left-handed cigarette, got old Mrs. Claus high as a kite with Santa Claus, Rudolph, 7 freaking reindeer, and the state. And they all got together, and ain't none of them invited me to the damn party. Just being a clown. Just being a clown. Think nothing of it. How long can one seek punitive damages? Okay, first of all, what's punitive? Who gets to determine what punitive is? Do you understand what punitive damages are? All right? Some judges say, oh, you want $100,000. Well, that's punitive. We're not going to give you that. Man, if I wanted your opinion, I'd peel it off my zipper, and that's a polite way of calling you a cocksucker. All right? I didn't ask your opinion. Somebody trespass against I, causing I harm, and I'm due and owing this true bill due in equity. I don't give a shit what you think is exuberant or too much. Doesn't make any difference to me. You had a job to teach little Johnny over there keep his damn hands to himself unless you issued a warrant or there was actually a crime that occurred. And you didn't do a very good job of teaching him, so now I'm gonna spank him and remove him from the payroll, hopefully, so nobody's got to worry about that anymore. Derrick, you didn't finish reading the Walmart in Ohio scenario. You need your help in Ohio. We'll gladly compensate you. Text me. Well, got to take on one thing at a time here. I overstand. You need your help. Okay, well, I apologize. This feed just keeps scrolling. I mean, there's constantly people, so I don't get to see it all. I'll be around there tomorrow. And I'll extend a call, but I am in the middle of something of great importance. One, because time is of the essence. Remember, equity aids only aids the vigilant, all right? And equity does not aid those who slumber on their rights. So once a trespass has occurred, it is important, imperatively important, that notice and opportunity happens within a couple weeks, if not in the first 72 hours. A letter of, hey, this is a notice and correspondence that you have trespassed against I, causing I harm by doing this, and list the acts, list what they did. At least do that much to help yourself out, all right? And give them so many days to respond. If they don't respond, what did they do commercially? They acquiesced by tacit agreement. What did they do on the private side? What do we call it on the private side? Anybody know what we call it on the private side? It's called confession and avoidance, all right? So on the at-law side, commercially, it's tacit agreement by silent acquiescence. And on the private side, it's called confession and avoidance. Very simple shit. Real simple shit. Johnny, did you take the cookie? Mom, can I go outside? Johnny, did you eat the cookie in the cookie jar after I told you not to? Mom, Tommy's here. I'm going outside. What did little Johnny do? Little Johnny just confessed to his dad that he ate the damn cookie. He's ignoring him even though he can hear him. And now little Johnny's going outside with Tommy. All right? It's confession and avoidance. So, real simple. What else is on here? What would you do if a letter you sent, green receipt return requested, comes back not signed? Immediately go to the USPS. They had a duty to perform, a task to accomplish. You paid them for a service, and that service is to ensure that you get a signature on that card. You take it back to the postmaster. The postmaster will handle that for you expeditiously. No worries. All right? So that's what you do when you send out a green card return receipt and it doesn't come back with a signature. They tried to bullshit with me at the Attorney General's office in Nebraska. I took it right to the postmaster and said, hey, I paid for a service. We've engaged in a contract. I paid you. There was just compensation, valuable consideration, and you haven't lived up to your end of the bargain. He goes, just go ahead and bring me that green card. I'll make sure it gets signed. I said, thank you very much. Sure, appreciate it. Less than 3 or 4 days later, I had that green card returned to me, and it was signed. So, not a problem. That's a quick remedy. Awesome. Thanks. No worries, brother. No worries. Thanks for all you guys' support, by the way. None of this is possible without you guys. So many people are like, how did you learn all this on your own? I didn't learn it on my own. I learned from each and every one of you guys. Each and every one of you guys I learn from all the time. I'm learning right now. Some of the stuff that's in this comment section is brilliant. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna cherry pick that one. That was brilliant. You know, some of these people that they study certain aspects and it helps you become more well-rounded. Never think there's just one path. There's not just one path, ladies and gentlemen. We're all heading in the same trajectory, right? Everybody's taking their own path, and if you will kind of comb through what they're saying in these feeds, oh my gosh, they drop jewels all the time. I do not have all the answers. I do not have the one and only way. I do not have the silver fucking bullet. I'll tell you that right now. I just have a lot of tenacity, and I got zero tolerance for bullshit. That's all it is. And I got big balls. Big balls. I don't care if there's 50 of those guys, gun-toting morons, want to take me out back and beat the shit out of me. They can do that all damn day long. I'll still show up tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do. Because freedom isn't free, all right? To say I am a man, I false identify as a word. Really? So are you a living sentient being, perhaps? Could it be that you're just traveling around in a meat sack, a ball of energy that will soon travel onward? Perhaps. I mean, it's your story. Tell it how you want. His story. It's his story. Scott, you can tell your story however you want. I'll tell you this much. You can say whatever the hell you want, because no agent and agency is ever going to come back and say, no, you're not, because then the onus of probandi just came back on them, didn't it? Well, I say I am, and I don't have to prove it, because I just testified with firsthand knowledge that I'm a pink polka-dotted fucking elephant, asshole, and you say I'm not, so now you have the burden of proof to prove that I'm not. Good luck. Can't prove the negative. You have firsthand knowledge that I'm not a pink polka-dotted fucking elephant? In the end, it's just words, right? Who knows anything? In fact, the more that I have gained in knowledge, the less I seem to know. Isn't that funny? Kind of odd when you think about it. Meat sack vessel, yes, I said it. Never play chess if you don't understand the pieces and valid moves. This is true. Will, this is true. But how do you learn if you never play, right? Gotta start somewhere, buddy. Gotta start somewhere. All right, guys, I'm going to let it go and go take a hot shower and get some sleep. I got a long day tomorrow. I'll reach out to you in Ohio. Maybe we can set up a meeting for everybody that's in Ohio. We can have a meeting place. I'll bring my notes, my laptop. We can sit down. We can talk about trust law. We can talk about a number of other issues and subject matters. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. I don't give a shit. Don't bother me none. The only pandemic that is real to me is the corruption pandemic, the scam-demic, the ugly head of the what appears to be corruption that just seemingly we can't seem to stamp out. It's a fire that keeps burning we can't get control of. Volition, coronation, and specificity. Hold on, what you got? Is our divine right of authority and authorship. Author makes the authority. Authority is the author. Correct. That's right. It is for it is because I say it is. I am for I am because I say I am. Thank you. You got to lose some pawns in the game. Ooh, Will, speaking of pawns, let me ask you guys this. What's the most important piece on the chessboard? That's what I'll leave you. That's food for thought. You can leave it in the comments below. What's the most important piece on the chessboard? I want you guys to think about that. Everybody's answer is unique. Nobody's answer is necessarily wrong, but there is one that is absolutely the best. It's the only real answer. If you're a thought, if you play chess and you're a real thinker, there's only one piece that's the best piece to have on the board. God bless you guys. Love you. Thank you for all your support. Thanks for all the donations through Venmo and Cash App. And again, self-governance is up and running again. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you.